It was a pretty wild night, but the impact of Tropical Cyclone Gabrielle isn't expected to meet to make its full impact until early this afternoon, and that can potentially extend into the early hours of Sunday morning. Look, I will say though that emergency management Norfolk Island, we've had an incredible amount of support through NEMA, the National Emergency Management Agency. We're in a very good position. People understand. We've got good communications, albeit that we're having some power outages even now. We're in a pretty good position in terms of the planning and preparedness that the island is in at the moment.
Yeah, as I understand it, the cyclone response plan is currently in place on the island. What does that look like? What did you have to do to prepare for the cyclone?
So at the start of the cyclone season in November, it starts at a green. We've moved through 4 stages of alertness. We're now at an orange. The Emergency Management Norfolk Island is meeting now, and there's the possibility that they will then increase that to the highest level of alert, which is a red alert, and that basically means that people stay at home and don't go out. At the moment, we're at orange, and so as I say, people are doing the right thing. The community's been well communicated with. And as I say, we've just got to now sit this out. There's an emergency shelter that's been set up just near where I am at the moment in the Rawson's Hall. So that's probably going to be used, we think, by visitors to the island. There's probably a few more than you indicated. There's probably anywhere between 800 and 950 visitors on the island at the moment. But again, we're well prepared, and we've just got to see this through. And then we'll look at what resources are going to be needed in a recovery phase from tomorrow.
As I understand it, transport links have been suspended or will be suspended. Is that right?
That's correct. So the flight from Sydney, as scheduled, came in yesterday, as was the flight from Brisbane on Thursday. But Qantas have made the decision that they won't be flying either today or tomorrow, which I think is quite understandable. And so, look, we'll reassess overnight, and we'll see, what the situation is likely to present us, what challenges are going to be there. We're expecting power outages, trees coming down, the potential for houses to lose roofs. It has been downgraded to a Category 2, so that's a blessing. But, based on prior experiences, the last time a cyclone hit Norfolk Island of this strength was in the mid-1990s, and there was damage at that time. So it's not the first time that the island's experienced this, and I doubt very much it'll be the last. But as I say, we're well prepared, we're well supported by national resources if needed in a recovery phase commencing tomorrow.
You said that you're expecting power to go down in the next hours or so. Are you expecting communication as well to be severed? And that being the case, how soon will communication and power be able to be restored?
Well, that's a question. There are backup energy sources for some of the communications on the island, so that's already been considered. But it's likely, we are even seeing now, there's been some power outages in parts of the island. We are expecting that will increase as the full force of this weather event hits the island. But look, there are alternatives. We've got satellite phones and other things here that can be utilised. But really, it's now about making sure that people are safe. As I say, the communication has been particularly good. We have a single source of truth for the local community, and that is Emergency Management Norfolk Island. They've done, I think, in my view, a very, very good job in making the messages clear about what they expect of people. And we've had a number of days to prepare. So we'll deal with the recovery as needed. But those parts of the community that need to respond, we'll respond when it's safe to do so. I guess power will be put on where it's when it's safe to do, when it's safe to go out and do that.
Now you are expecting, as you say, the cyclone to hit around mid-afternoon today. How long are you expecting the extreme weather to last for?
Well, so the cyclone's been tracked over the last few days in a direction. These things are pretty unpredictable, of course, but I must say the Bureau have been very accurate in their predictions of the cyclone's course. It's expected, the winds are coming from the sort of east-southeast at the moment, but as the cyclone approaches the island, it'll move and the winds will come more from the north and then back around again through the west to the south again as it passes over the island. It's expected, and again, I spoke to some local people that were here in the 90s. They said it was quite eerie as the eye of the cyclone passed over the island. It went very calm, but then very quickly, and most of the damage that occurred last time was on the other side as the cyclone had passed over the island and the winds picked up again.
Look, Eric, it sounds like you're very confident in the emergency response plan that is currently in place. You're confident that the residents and visitors will do what needs to be done. Is there one thing that you're most concerned about?
Well, look, as I say, there's been a lot of planning going into this. It's probably visitors to the island. If we were to get an accommodation house that lost its roof and other things, we've then got to deal with those things. All of those businesses have been made aware of what we're expecting them to do in respect of supporting their guests at their facilities. That's probably for me the biggest risk. We've got an abnormally high tide, which is coinciding with the arrival of the cyclone there. So it's going to be pretty spectacular on the coast. But, with relatively high cliffs around most of the island, the only part of the island that really is exposed is the World Heritage Area down near Kingston. And there's no residents in that part of the island. So, we might see a bit of coastal erosion, as I mentioned before, trees coming down, power lines, power supplies being impacted. The hospital is probably the single biggest risk as well, but again, there are contingencies in place. If they were to lose a roof or something, we've got contingencies in place to deal with that. So, a lot of work's been done by a lot of people over months and years, but it's now being implemented, and that action plan is being implemented. And I feel confident that the community are doing the right thing and that we're in as good a place as we can be. And the next phase will be the recovery in the next day or so.